Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us about our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Now, in order to not create a situation where we're talking over each other at the start of the show, I've just barreled through and I've said the first thing. And now people can say secondary things. Tom, you were gesticulating wildly when I started the stream, and then as soon as it got going, you stopped. Please explain yourself.
Oh, well, no, I was just waving my arms wildly like I'm the robot in Lost in Space or whatever, just because there's a dog next door in my apartment building that's just having a time. And I think it's because I'm speaking that it's doing it. I think it's on its own. Maybe it's been on its own for some of the day, and then it can hear there's someone else in the building, and it has to alert
wall,
people.
Or is it across the, how close is the
apartment? I believe this wall behind me is shared, at least with the next apartment, and I think that's where the dog is, but I'm not sure.
Have you considered that your voice even?
A dog that resonates. I just suddenly have, like, oh shit, I forgot.
Now he's your dog. If you hear him bark, he becomes your property. I'm pretty sure that's legal.
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus.
That's how it works.
So is like going to the dog park then, where everyone meets up, dogs are barking, everyone's hearing left, right, and center. Is that like that insurance analogy of like what happens when a whole bunch of one car gets like rear-ended, but then the car that rear-ended you is rear-ended by the guy behind him, and just the insurance company liability shitstorm that ensues? Is it like that but with dogs?
Yeah, but
now you're a surprise. That's basically it. I don't really understand.
But now you own all the cars. So you get rear-ended by 4 cars, and now you own a fleet of vehicles.
Well, no, but that's the thing. But okay, so it's like as soon as I'm rear-ended, I own that car. But that car being rear-ended by someone else means that person owns that guy's car. So in the dog analogy, if every time I hear a dog bark, that dog is now mine. Unless I am the only person who can hear in the park, the dog ownership is changing hands at a rate that, I don't think even the most coked up Wall Street guy could follow.
It's blockchain. It's all run through blockchain.
Yeah,
it's all run through the blockchain.
Smart contracts.
Parts of the dogs.
NFTs.
Each of us just has fibers of the dogs in our possession.
What I was going to say as my initial point, Tom, was that your voice must be resonating at a particular frequency, which is affecting the dogs. So
are you saying that my voice just inherently by my speaking is a dog whistle?
Basically.
And I am just dog whistling right now with my speaking. Someone somewhere is just woken up to go, must kill president, and just walked out of a room.
Must kill President Woofer. Welcome to the Unnatural Selection Dogcast, where we talk about dog news here for 45 minutes at a time. Weekly show where we try to inject some comedy into the world of our canine pals. So in a slight diversion in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about news and politics. So you might have noticed this week that the TikTok, I don't really want to call TikTok a social media platform because I feel like it's more of an entertainment platform. It's kind of more like YouTube. Yeah, no?
I beg to differ there, George. I don't know, not to derail this too much.
With me
that dog's going nuts.
Yeah. Adam's just starting
My dog's going nuts now.
Behind his own ear with his foot, being like, why am I doing this? I don't know why. It's just because Tom's speaking. I suddenly want to say and do some really racist things.
Kafka's the dog metamorphosis.
So I think looking at TikTok, there's a lot of sketch comedy and all information kind of entertainment-y sort of stuff on there. But also I feel maybe it's just my algorithm. Again, I think it's so huge that probably, George, you and my experience of TikTok is vastly different just based on what the algorithm thinks what we want to see, right? But I see a lot of younger people, I'd say the Gen Z people, just ranting at the camera, just talking to camera, the kind of shit that we posted to Facebook when we were 19, just shit posting kind of stuff. I think it's their Facebook.
So if people can share stuff and if people can then comment and reciprocate, if society can engage with it, that is what social
you can not only comment on TikTok videos, but you can start a new video directly reacting
the thing, and you go, okay, Netflix, thank you. That'll be an overpriced amount per month.
I will watch The Sandman. Thank you very much. Here is my $23.
I could do without the legions of Trailer Park Boys or whatever all over Netflix. I'll take that or leave it. Some of the original programming, love it.
Anyway, so TikTok, we've established that TikTok is a social media / entertainment platform. And it's interesting that you say information, Tom, because there is some information on TikTok, believe it or not, that is not necessarily above board.
What?
During the last election, TikTok was forced by the Australian Election Commission to remove footage of staff inside counting centres and polling places amid efforts by fringe groups and politicians to promote stolen election narratives. So essentially, people are getting in there, filming people like counting votes, but like, these people are counting votes on the floor. It must be, saboteurs.
The system's corrupt, man.
And they're just like, no, we don't have any resources, so we're in a tight space. We're counting votes on the floor because this is what our democracy ashamedly is. And so, there's been this whole, obviously linked to the sort of freedom parties and, anti-lockdown, anti-mask protesters and things that we've encountered in the past. But it's encountered this whole sort of viral resurgence on TikTok. And,
not just TikTok as well. But the article is generally talking about social media companies, but the one that the
AEC spanked in the news was on TikTok.
Yeah,
so
exactly. There were 77 pieces of content on social media companies that were referred back to them, to those companies as a part of the election, and 39 of which are related to disinformation around the electoral processes, and 38 regarding other matters that included electoral authorization breaches, staff threats, and privacy issues.
Yeah, so not good. And whenever I'd like to take this as an opportunity to jump on my ye old soapbox and say, hey, this is why we talk about stuff that happens in America, because inevitably, I used to say within 5 years, turns out it's in 5 months, or, as it was in this case, those dumb ideas get imported into the Australian mainstream. What America is really good at doing is exporting culture. And what that means is if you've got a bunch of election-denying semi-fascists, as Biden described some of the MAGA base this week as,
and that's the nice version. I think that has gone through several layers of people being like, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that, and that's what they ended up on. I think it should go further.
Okay, what I'm about to tell you, Jack, is that Donald Trump is Benito Mussolini. Like, no, take it a step down, Joe. Okay. Semi-fascists. I learned the other day, I'm half Italian, half Greek. And I learned the other day that semifreddo, the word for the Italian dessert, it basically means just like a little bit cold. It's just kind of I was like, oh yeah, semifreddo. It's just like kind of cold, almost ice cream is the name of the dessert, which is in fact almost like ice cream. So
and that relates to
semifreddo, semi-fascist.
Such a beautiful literal language.
Yes. Yeah, they're like, the poetry of Italian. And they're like, yes, have the partly cold dessert.
Like, what shall we, this bird, it is blue. We shall call it the blue bird.
Yes.
So beautiful.
Anyway,
lovely.
So the point, all of which is to say that America does dumb things in its culture, and within a space of, it used to be 5 years, now the space of today's fast-paced, ever-changing world, those dumb ideas now get exported at a rate of knots. So within 5 months, 100%. This is already a thing that, like, hey, is it weird that America's a completely different socio-political system, different election mechanisms, different counting mechanisms, different political apparatus? But it could it be that we're also having fake elections here in Australia as well, in a completely different situation? Sure, I did hear the term fake election, so therefore ours must be fake also. Nice one, and I mean, Freedom Party protested morons.
I mean, but the Americans do it in the reverse as well, right? Like, if in the very sense that when they've been talking about preference-based voting to be a new, like to change their system into more like preference-based voting, they can look at Australia does it, and that works. So in the very same way that they might be looking at what we do as an example of maybe we should import that, it's the other way around. So this is more on the point of like, why do you talk about what America does? It's like, well, yeah, because as in our more global society, now that we can be looking more at how each other countries operate and behave, it sets precedent. Like, if you see that a system works in one place, that's evidence that maybe that system could work elsewhere. But also that works in the reverse, right?
What?
Like, if somewhere's latching on to dumb fascist fucked ideas, it will inspire dumb fascists in other places to maybe also give it a crack.
As exemplified by Viktor Orban's recent re-election in Hungary as well this last week. So, but yeah, why is it always that like Australia seems to be the proof point for America, like based on their incredibly dumb things? They're like, hey, we have guns everywhere. And Australia's a developed economy that is in the West and doesn't have guns. And look, they seem to do it just, it's always like America's got this like very fucked cooked thing. And they go, look, Australia did it. And we're like, yeah, we were just being a normal country. Like we were just, we have ranked choice voting because it makes the most sense and tends to result in the least, political polarization. America's like, our voting system's fucked. What about Australia? It's always the exemplar of things that they're just like fucked and terrible.
I'm sure they use other countries as well. Our algorithms just pick up when Australia is mentioned in the news. They're like, America mentioned us. They still love us, right?
You love me?
Some weird...
You
love me?
Call me.
The thing, I shared a video with you guys this week, I think, there's a YouTube page called Big Think. Which
I'm just going to put my hand up straight away. I did not watch that video. I'm sorry.
All right, it goes like 12 minutes, but basically it
12
talks
minutes.
About, it's
12 minutes. I'm not made of time.
What am I?
Sit down to watch a 50-minute technical analysis of how the remake of The Last of Us that came out this week is different from the one from 8 years ago on PS4. I sat down to watch that whole hour of comparing the pixel counts and performance metrics and different lighting rendering techniques. But 12 minutes from Big Thinking... Get fucked, Adam.
You want to sociopath?
How were the pixels, Tom? Were the pixels engaging? Were you sustained by them? How was the dopamine you got from that?
Incredibly engaging. I did like seeing how the 4K rendering differed on my 1440p display. Not the point.
Sorry, I don't speak nerd. I don't. I just.
Oh yeah. How did that lecture go where you were teaching people how to code in specifically Arma 3? Like, not in any way that's useful. Not an actual coding language beyond this one dad game that you really enjoy, where it takes 15 button prompts to drop your pants or whatever you have to do in it. Like, I don't know.
You can take your clothes off. That is an option.
Is it really?
Like, why?
Because you can put different uniforms on, so
Was this before?
But instead of it being change uniforms, you have to go through the process of disrobing your individual items of clothing.
Technically, you have to pull the clothes
still on the
off,
battlefield while shit's going on. This isn't like a pause menu to
No, it's all real time. So you'll just see some guy in the middle of next to an ammo crate, just go naked and then just change clothes.
Was this before or after one of your military sim adventures out in the bush with your mates wearing military gear and shooting each other with lasers?
It was just a thing that I do for.
But you don't speak nerd.
I'm a hypocrite.
But you don't speak
nerd. No, it's fine.
Okay.
We're all big nerds.
Did you speak nerd while you were LARPing with your military friends?
I whispered Elvish in my burned. The video that I posted, I was talking about America's ability for myth making, basically. Like, why do they, have this sort of tendency to sort of believe the crazy? But basically, the concept was that this guy's point of view was that they've always been about it. Like, even from the first, if we talk about white American culture, that is, people came to America thinking there'd be gold for ages, and then there wasn't gold.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about the people
wanted to set up a Christian, utopia.
Think about who the Pilgrims were, right? Like, they escaped Europe because they were a group of persecuted, over-religious, Puritans with a hard-on for adventure and hard work, and then it's 300 years later, we're why is America like it is? And it's like, well, just, I mean, look at the roots of the culture that it came from. Like, it's a bunch of religious extremists that fled the country for adventure and for gold in their hills. Like, yeah, no wonder.
That's kind of like the point of this. I can't remember the guy's name. It's the YouTube page is called Big Think, but anyway, the point being, yeah, exactly right. So it started off there, and then you add in, celebrity,
Guns.
The whole concept of being famous for the sake of being famous, like this concept around your own sort of myth making and buying, and people buying into the ideas,
the American dream
concept of that. So you can have people that will just believe things because
it's funny. It's like the Italians that left Italy and went to other places. Like my ancestors that came to Australia, or the Italians that went to America or whatever in the early 1900s, are very different to the Italians that remain in Italy. And you see it, like, as someone who goes and, like, occasionally will go and visit relatives over in Italy and things like that back in the before times. You notice the difference, because the Italians that left were the ones that were like, fuck this is shit, we got to get out of here and go, like, make our own thing. And the Italians that stayed were like, I'll take a nap at 2. So it's like there are cultural differences, because I go back as someone who's Italian, but I've been very Australianized. I've been, sort of anglicized to a certain degree. And I look around, I'm like, man, why does the post office take so long to mail something off? Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Get some efficiency gains in here, guys. Like, it's you think about it, it's like a cultural evolution, sort of branching off from a common ancestor, almost like evolution. Which is interesting. But how do we get from the AEC to there?
I was trying to say, the point being is that people
importing dumb ideas.
People like the ideas that are being imported from America. It's because I think, because we're bought into American culture is basically Western culture, right? So we're buying into that.
Yep.
As well. So we use the same software platforms, watch the same TV. It's all, it's like it permeates throughout the world. And you can only need to look at, I mean, these are extreme examples, but the thing I said to you guys earlier this week was that you look at the riots in Sri Lanka and then in Iraq this week, where they literally stormed the capital and people are walking around with cell phones in these fucking palaces. They are all jumping in the pool. It's like they've seen January 6th and they're doing the same thing. Like I mean, obviously the contexts are probably very different.
Extremely different.
Extremely different. You've got, extreme poverty and inequality on one end, and you've got, like, Shia
Sri Lanka on the other.
Yeah. Factionalism in Iraq. So it's a bit different. But the concept of, you've got to think, like, would they have stormed the Capitol and filmed themselves like 3 years ago before January 6th? Like, would that have happened?
It did look.
Would they have even had the idea of, like, oh, we could just go storm the palace?
Yeah, there is. I think I used the term a couple of weeks ago. It's like an intellectual dam is broken with January 6th. It's the idea that we could just, like, storm the Capitol, and that's a thing that we can do. And there's more of us and less of them. It's like, I mean, these things have happened throughout history. I like, Trump is a big piece of shit, but I don't want to blame him for everything that's ever gone wrong. Like, the Russian Revolution was a thing a good 100 years before Trump, and the French Revolution
before that.
Before that. So yeah, it's certainly not the first time that revolutions have happened, or insurrections, or whatever you want to call them. But I guess I do feel as though the polarization in America and the discussion, particularly in the way that it filters down through culture, is definitely getting exported. These bad ideas are getting exported to other places. Because, I mean, Viktor Orban over in Hungary is basically just a smart, capable Donald Trump. Like a Donald Trump who could actually operationalize all of the terrible things that Donald Trump wanted to do. So, and Viktor Orban, I think a couple of weeks ago, spoke at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference over in America.
Oh, yeah.
So there is clearly cross-pollination. And, Nigel Farage, who was head of UKIP and, like, a big Brexiteer back in 2016, has also had similar dealings with CPAC and things like that as well. So it's not unusual for shitty white men to get in the same room and ruin each other's brains with their huffing their own farts of ideas.
I mean,
here's
you
a question.
could say like our entire modern society has been built upon it.
Westminster system, baby.
Just shitty white men talking to each other and smiling in agreement and making things worse.
And trampling on the other class.
A podcast of men. Here's a question for you. So in Australia, obviously, there were 77 of these things that they picked up. It was an AFP.
The social media content
that
the Electoral Commission asked to take down. Yep.
Yeah.
Do we think that those kind of like, whether it be just Marge storming into the balloting, I don't know why I'm saying Marge, but we're going to go with Marge,
Karen.
balloting office and having a rant at, demanding to speak to the scrutineers is the example that's used in this article. Do you think that potentially has just been happening throughout entire Australian history, but we just don't know about it because we have social media, and now it's just that?
If it's been happening, it's been happening to a much less degree because without the advent of the internet and smartphones and social media, there would have been no way to share these ideas around. Karen walks into a voting center in Bendigo and goes, "This is all fucking corrupt." And they go home, Karen, look after your kids, piss off.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of both, right? It'd be
no one would have found out about it.
Social media, spreading conspiracy theories and all this sort of stuff around to inspire maybe more people to march on their voting centers to like question it. But then at the same time, it's like our ability to learn about it is much more diminished as well.
Number one, our ability to learn about it is now very increased, and number two, there's a network effect, a contagion effect where bad ideas can spread more readily. Like worst thing that could, riots and things happen in the 1900s, but people had to like learn about it through word of mouth or like read about it in the paper, which was a physical document that was like delivered to their doorstep. And so there was like a lag time between all of these different things happening. Now it's just like, Beryl from Caroline Springs reckons something on Facebook and then 5,000 of her closest friends can know about it in the space of an hour. So yeah, certainly the pace has changed, even if the behavior hasn't. But because the pace has changed, it means that these things can catch fire in a way that they couldn't or wouldn't as readily previously. So,
what do you think will be the go at the Victorian state election, which is coming up?
In regards to
it's going to be a shit show. Like, I mean, with the amount of still anti-vax Nazi rallies that happen on a regular basis here in Victoria, of Dictator Dan and lock him up and all that sort of stuff, it's gonna be a shit show.
You think the fact that they've been continually free to assemble since the lockdowns were removed would have given these guys the idea, the fact that maybe we don't in fact live in an autocracy like the one that we're trying to bring about by the views that we hold?
I saw a fantastic tweet yesterday, I think, which was I forget who it was, but saying like, managed to get a front row seat to a anti-vax rally, sitting here in the pub, unmasked, with my beer, watching them ranting about getting their freedoms back.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, that's perfect. Like, you're just there enjoying the freedoms they say they don't have.
Guys, you are cutting into valuable drinking time. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, you could all just like angrily agree with each other over a few beers.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, rather than picketing Parliament.
Yeah, I think it's like Dan Andrews in particular has been the subject of a lot of ire over the protests from these groups. So I will not be surprised when inevitably it leads to a bunch of shitheads spreading disinformation online. As to the effect it's likely to have, I actually don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I saw a Matt Guy ad. I was at the cinema the other day. Oh, good old Matty. Matty Guy.
Yeah, Matthew Guy. Never heard of him. That idiot. Let us introduce a new leader, Matt Guy.
God, I like that guy. It was this ad for Matt Guy. And granted, like, I live in a fairly strongly held Labor seat, but I was in the cinemas and Matt Guy came on the cinema advertising thing. It was talking about how libs fucking so, and literally the moment his face came on the screen, I heard audible like groans from the crowd. Like, oh no.
Oofed.
Not this guy again. Like, oh fucking hell. I was just like, that bodes well. I haven't looked at any official polling recently, but that's the George poll, and the George poll is it's looking pretty dicey for Matt Guy, in my opinion. But
if the other thing you could do, which is a bit of this is a nerd joke, is you could.
I thought you weren't a nerd,
Matt.
I thought you were casting aspersions, mate. Like Salt Bay, sprinkling aspersions on nerds.
No, George, let's hear the joke, because if he doesn't speak nerd, it won't make any fucking sense, and that'll be funny in and of itself. So let's hear it.
So is he matte? Like, what color matte is he? Is he just like a polished finish?
Right, so Matt is in like with an E on the end, MATTE, so Matt's like that guy. Non-reflective.
He's a
non-reflective
guy.
I like Tom's approach of letting Adam hang himself with his own rope. That was really well done.
100%. Yeah.
No. Let's hear about.
Yeah, I'm trying to get fired.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Not at all.
I was trying to think of a way to make a pun about the Matt Guy rebrand to be about matte as in the texture
Dulux
material, palette. But I decided I couldn't think of anything that was worth bringing up. So I'm glad that you jumped on that grenade for me.
Good. No, I'm that's all right. I'm all about jumping on grenades.
Team player during your military sims.
Yeah, how many buttons does it take to do that in Armour?
5. To be exact.
5. Wow. Okay.
5 separate clicks.
Good luck mapping that to a control pad.
You could Control Alt.
Control Alt Delete. If someone told you that's how you do stuff in that game, Adam, they lied to you.
Yeah. That's how you bring up the map. Alt F4.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Real way to win is just unplug the computer. Just
Alt F4 for those who don't try that at home. That'll close whatever application you're running.
Just on that TikTok story, it does appear that those videos are reported and taken down by TikTok the same day, which is reassuring. But it is kind of like playing whack-a-mole with these things. Like I expect a bunch of what's that?
Speed.
A lie has traveled 2 times around the world before the truth can get its pants on. Like never has that been more true than social media, right?
Because it takes so many buttons to change your clothes, George. Like the truth can't be expected to get its pants on with any kind of, speed, whilst lies are just willing to run around, just cock to the wind, just, arms flailing wildly as it sprints through everyone's homes.
There
we gotta play their game. It's the same as we can't have the moral high ground of pants. We have to be willing to get down there in the porky pigging it mud.
Okay. Next story, Anna Paul. Adam, can you explain what an Anna Paul is to me, please?
An Anna Paul is and it's interesting that we're talking about TikTok. She is a TikTok and OnlyFans star.
So OnlyFans, people may know, is the website where people subscribe and ascribe monetary values to content creators. I don't know about Anna Paul, but it's
your channel for OnlyFans is where the name comes
and
from.
OnlyFans are the ones that give me money. But as far as I'm aware, it's like for people who want to take off their clothes.
Well, sex work is a very prominent.
I don't know if it's only
it is rather known for. I
don't know if
sex
that's
workers
sort of,
to use the platform.
I don't know if that's exactly what she's doing. I don't know. Checked it.
Lord knows.
No, I'm not paying her OnlyFans, but she
I
is.
read in People magazine
known
that
as
Anna Paul.
No. She is known as one of Australia's perhaps most influential influencers. So she was slated to do a bit of a a bit. For
in-store appearance.
An in-store appearance for a clothing store in Perth called Stax. And the concept was you can go and meet and greet Anna Paul.
Yeah, meet and greet Anna Paul. Okay.
And buy some stuff, I guess.
Isn't it wild that we live in an economy where you could just talk at your phone and then gain become more popular than Mahatma Gandhi.
I think
for just
the marketing
a person, and then you could have people pay you money to be the person that you are.
I think,
and then go to a store to where you are to give you more money to buy things from a store that you've aligned with. That's crazy.
I think I think just to be in fairness to Anna Paul and people like her, there's a lot of steps, I think, between just I just ran to the camera and then suddenly I'm meet and greet worthy in a store. I don't think you can just start talking at a camera. There's planning and writing and sponsorships and negotiation, and it's a business.
I know that, Tom, because if ranting at a camera was all that was necessary, we'd be 12 years famous at this point. So
that's true. And you can meet and greet us in front of the Burke Street Christmas windows this December.
What I want you to do is put your hands over my eyes from behind and say, "Guess who?"
Feels like a Chaser sketch. Could we just rock up somewhere with a meet and greet table and just like we are?
Oh my god!
Like that this is a meet and greet event.
Yes.
Like again, it's like high vis, a lanyard, and confidence can get you into anywhere. If you just rock up with a meet and greet setup to just and maybe if we add you belong there.
And a lanyard as well, like that would even like double whammy.
Yeah. We need some beefy blokes around us. Dark clothes or security. It'd be like,
I think you need security. You need security anyway. As this story about Anna Paul we'll talk about, which this story didn't go where I thought it was when you sent through the headline.
The headline is very clickbaity.
Activewear brand slammed for meet and greet with OnlyFans star. I was like, oh, come on, let's stop. Like, my first thought, given OnlyFans and the being synonymous with sex work in a lot of cases, being like, come on, let's stop shaming sex workers. For fuck's sake, get over yourselves. But no, the story was more
about the riot.
Anna Paul is so popular that they were woefully underprepared for the amount of people that turned up and did not have like the infrastructure in place to hold everybody and security necessary. And, they were expecting only 200 to 300 people, but they say like thousands turned up and overwhelmed the shopping
People were lining
strip.
up at 10:30 p.m. the night before.
To meet them. The size of the crowd lacked appropriate security. I think they said that there were people who collapsed and like had to be treated by paramedics. And it reminded me a lot. I don't know if you guys, I know George, sorry, you have, of that recent documentary about Woodstock 99.
I was going to say, it reminds me of Fire Festival. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Of just like, let's have on like a smaller scale than the Woodstock 99 debacle. I'd highly recommend the doco on Netflix if you've got the time to check it out. But just to see, like just being like woefully like underestimating what you're putting on. Like in the Woodstock sense, it was like, let's skimp on security and all that because we're all in the interest of making money. And like, everyone's here for music and peace and love. It's like, but every band you've booked is like Korn, Rage Against the Machine, and Limp Bizkit, who in the 90s
implying that OnlyFans fans are not chill.
No, I'm more meant this woman is more popular than you think she is, clearly. If you're like, only 200-300 people will turn up. Clearly
as a marketing
lot of people.
They've obviously paid her. The marketing guys have gone,
sure,
I will get some
sort of partnership, something or other. But I'm just imagining is like the marketing guy turning to his boss and saying, I don't want to have another fucking conversation about my KPIs ever again. I smashed it this time. I did too well, in fact. Okay, so I don't want my marketing credentials ever questioned again.
Yeah, because I thought they cancelled the event before it even started, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Sort of what happened here, because they said, here was a quote from another TikTok user, I think he was trying to attend, saying that there was no fencing whatsoever when we got here, and there was already 2,000 people here at 7 a.m.
Oh my God.
So, people had been queuing from 10:30 the night before,
these
as Adam said before.
That camp out over where are you at in your life? Where you'd be like, I got to see this like TikTok influencer. I'm going to camp out. I have the time, the money, the inclination to like camp out overnight to like go see
this person is
what the fuck?
This person's a TikTok user, I guess. Being at the event, whether it turns into a shit show or not, is content, right? It's all around. Just got to have content. Just got to pump out that content. It's either going to be I met Anna Paul and hooray. Like,
are we saying that the people
or shit fight occurred and this is the content? Like, I guess,
I think the people were going there because they wanted to create their own content off her content? Or are we saying that, is it just a case of celebrityism has changed?
That's part of it.
It could be a bit of both. I mean, there'd be some people where they're wanting to go in the professional sense if they're also like an influencer, like influencer grade content creator that they're wanting to make more content, or just people just like to do things for the gram, even though we're not even on the gram anymore. Like, that expression has already lost some meaning because it's all for the TikTok.
Maybe, just maybe,
it
was not a good idea to put an entire production studio and editing suite. Suite.
Is that like the fourth?
Can you just let me get this fucking joke out? Can you just let me get it out, please?
Okay, well, if you can say it well.
Maybe it wasn't a good idea for every single teenager to have an entire video production studio and editing suite staring recursively forever into the abyss at other teenagers who also have an internet-connected production studio in their pockets. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to unleash that into the world with no barriers, no restrictions, no kind of.
Are we saying that they have to have
regulations.
paid for Adobe After Effects? They all have to fork out for a subscription.
I'm just saying a subscription wouldn't hurt.
Otherwise.
It indicates a certain bar. It's a bar to entry, Like, I just don't think that we've ever actually, like, we all develop the technology and go, isn't it cool that I can fucking find my car keys now because they're attached to my phone? And we're like, yeah, it's fucking cool. And like, at no point did we ever think, like, is any of this a good idea? Is any of this like good for society, or like good to have, or like does it improve the quality of human relationships? Like, did anyone at any point ever have that discussion? It was like, bro, I can find my dog with my fucking AirTags. It's sick as, bro.
Here's a question. Yeah. Would Miranda Kerr, for instance, like if this was her, would 2,000 people line up?
I don't
like someone who's established.
No. No, because it's a different kind of celebrity. Also, Miranda Kerr is fucking boring as shit. Like, the people that
I've never met her, so
I've never met her either. I'm just from their internet persona. I do think it is a different kind of celebrity because it is so intimate. It's like podcasting on fucking steroids. It's like you're in these people's pockets and they pull out a phone and they see you like going about your daily life. It's even more intimate than podcasting. And so they feel like a connection with you with you, a TikTok star, in a way that they don't feel about like people in their own life, and like mass media figure like Jennifer Hawkins. Who the fuck? People go, oh, come see a thing at whatever store with Jennifer Hawkins. And people go, oh yeah, it's just trying to sell us some Revlons. Yeah, all right, whatever. But like, that celebrity endorsement thing, like your celebrities hanging out in bloody Westfield shopping center, like that's been going on for ages. No one's ever gotten mobbed like this, not in recent memory that I'm aware of. Like, this is like a next level. Like, this woman is like, has more viewers than Channel 10 News. You know what I mean? Like, it is and it's crazy because I've like never heard of her before this conversation, but like clearly the level of, I think we're really underestimating the role of new media, and we're really still overestimating the role of old media. We go, something's on TV. Waleed's on TV. Waleed Ali, he must be super famous. But only like 10% of the Australian public knows or cares who Waleed Ali is. He's just some commentator on Channel 10's The Project. And he's occasionally on like bloody Radio National or whatever.
Spicy articles for
he writes some dumb shit, fucking centrist establishment hot takes. But like, I guarantee none of the people at this Anna Paul event know who Waleed Ali is, but he's just much more in my little bubble. He's much more in my Twitter, algorithm sphere. So I see him and I go, Waleed's famous, but people walking down the street wouldn't recognize Waleed Ali. Clearly, a lot of these people do fucking recognize Anna Paul because they're lining up like she's the new Harry Potter novel. So, like,
and is that the, again, you mentioned the danger before, like, and we're talking about like with the election results, for instance, like that if everyone is hooked into this
endlessly recursive Mobius strip of entertaining and being entertained and participating in the entertainment, which is then passed on to others at light speed. Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the problem. But like, TikTok's dope. I love it.
It's interesting. Like on your point before of like, we develop all these technologies and then we were so preoccupied if we didn't stop to think of whether we should, in the Ian Malcolm sort of sense.
Yes.
I've had discussions like that at work. I work in software development, and
you work in software?
I do. In different
I work in
technologies and features and things like that. I was having an interesting discussion with my team leader about it, where they said, yeah, it's something that you kind of really have to check yourself as, like, being in, if you're doing software development or IT engineering, where obviously you get excited by like new things and you think like, oh, we could do this or we could do that, or like, oh, what if we could do this to enhance this experience by blah, and you get really caught up in it. Yeah, you do often have to check yourself to be like, but what are the implications of what I'm putting out there? And maybe just a lot of people don't.
Well, we know for a fact that the world's leading tech companies don't do that. Like,
no, they just
Facebook. There's been like a decade of evidence at this point which suggests like Facebook doesn't, like, not only do they actively not think about that as part of their development process, they had a sustainability, whatever, that that woman who came out, you know, maybe a year ago, who was sort of exposing the inner workings of Facebook.
Oh yeah, to Congress or something.
Yeah, it's just like some sort of strategy officer or something, and she was saying like, we gathered the evidence of the harm that our platform is doing to young kids, particularly teenage girls, and suicidal ideation and things like that. And not only did Facebook like not want to know about it, they actively like buried it. Like, so even when made aware of these things, they're still like, no, internet, you know, hyper libertarianism is the way to go. The only way to combat speech is more speech. And then, you know, and then it ends up in the completely amoral kind of political landscape where you're encouraging a genocide in Myanmar because of the way that your software is completely integrated into the information landscape. And at no point, it seems like, have any of these major tech companies ever taken a step back and gone, yeah, we could, but should we? They're not interested in that, because decreasing engagement with a platform directly correlates to less dollars in their pocket. Everything that they're trying to do is a Skinner box, right? To go back to that old psychological test, you know, BF Skinner, to try and get you to engage with the platform more. Or like, it was like BF Skinner back in the day, they had, I think it was pigeons in boxes, and they would give like rewards.
Jesus, good start. Okay.
Based on, so you hit the button, you get a reward. And then they altered the way that the rewards were distributed based on how the pigeons interact. It was pigeons or rats, I think, how the pigeons interacted with the buttons. And what they found was a random like reinforcement schedule was actually much more powerful than a consistent one. If you go to your thing and you get a consistent dopamine hit every time you hit the button, you get a food pellet every time, that's one thing. But if it's more like, say, a slot machine, where sometimes you get rewards, sometimes you don't. It seems like you're on a streak, but maybe you're not. Well, that behavior is much, much more reinforcing than just simply getting a pellet every time you push the button. So I think that's what we've created. We've created pokey machines in people's pockets that give them like, it's like that Bo Burnham song. Here's a 9-year-old who died. Here's a, you know.
The Welcome to the Internet.
Yeah, Welcome to the Internet song, which is basically like, it's like, one thing is like, you know, a dog coming home and greeting his owner from the military. Here's some children who were murdered. And it's like, I don't think the human brain was meant to like flip back and forth from all of these different experiences at such a frenetic pace.
Bombing, right.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's a slot machine. Am I going to get a dopamine hit, or am I going to get some serotonin?
Fire hose of information.
Yeah. It's dangerous, frankly.
How do you make meaning out of? Well, this is probably part of what probably relates back to the myth making thing of like, to create meaning, we join our own dots together basically. But like, if you've just got a fire hose of information coming out randomly, like, you're not really making sense of that. You just sort of, you've got your own view set and you're just pulling stuff out of the fire hose that may catch your interest potentially.
Yeah, like the last episode of MASH was watched by like 100 million Americans. It was like a cultural
bananas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. And so back in the day, you had these common cultural touchstones where it's like, did you see the thing last night on TV that we all watched? I think like Game of Thrones was probably the last time we really had that as a culture, where it's like the whole world was like hooked on a singular show sort of thing. Where like, the Red Wedding. No, don't ruin it for me. I haven't watched it yet. It was like this singular experience of us all experiencing a singular thing at the same. Maybe live sports is another good example of that. Like, we all saw the grand final last night or whatever, and we all know what we're talking about. But like, since then, well, since really the advent of cable television, and the internet, the landscape is just like completely fragmented. And so you can have people that are over here on the informational spectrum that never interact with any of the shit from the other side of the information spectrum. You've got liberal Twitter, you've got conservative Twitter, you've got, like they're completely different asymmetric information systems now.
Shit posting furry pornography cartoonist Twitter, like the three information streams.
Do we? Tom?
These are the three choices.
I don't know if we have that.
Oh.
Anyway, so
you need cooler friends.
I hope Anna Paul is okay.
She's very sorry that
was she
in
any danger?
No.
Well, I mean, she probably didn't have much to do with anything.
No, I think
all the stuff that went wrong. Like, I mean, she was just the talent in this, but like the actual event organizers clearly grossly underestimated the get that they had for their branding and or like whatever like promotional thing they were wanting to do there. They were like, oh shit, she was a better get than we expected, and we were woefully underprepared. I saw quotes of like people throwing deodorant bombs, which I have questions of. Well, I assume like the pressurized nature of spray deodorant, and how flammable it can be. I don't know, maybe you can create something that's a little dangerous with that. I don't know how, and if I find out, I'm not just going to say on the podcast. Don't do that.
Dark web, off you go.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. For legal reasons, I have to say don't do that.
Yeah, and the address is here's how you access the dark web. If you download Tor and
what you want to do is go to www.darkwebplease.com.
It's definitely not a honeypot.
Is that a real website? We should find out anyway.
It is. Well, I mean, possibly.
Might be. Someone's bought the URL. So speaking of technology, NASA's been trying to send a rocket around the moon for the last week, but it keeps breaking.
Boring. Whatever.
Around the moon.
I want to see Anna Paul. No one cares about the moon. Get fucked, nerds.
But there is also even more nerdy. There's an experiment currently taking place on the Perseverance rover on Mars.
How dare you say that you're not a nerd? How dare you fucking come at me like that when you're talking about Perseverance?
I never said that I wasn't a nerd. I just accused Tom of being a nerd.
How dare you fucking come at? How dare you come at us like that?
What is this piling on?
Oh yeah, you guys are nerds. Anyway, the Perseverance rover is pretty fucking cool, you guys.
Shut the fuck up, George.
You shut the fuck up. I will mute you. I will mute a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam, it was a great mistake on our part to give George the entirety of control over whose mic is on.
Unlimited power!
Yeah. But yeah, so Perseverance.
There's an experiment on Perseverance.
What I am displaying by allowing you to continue this conversation. Go
all
ahead.
right, calm down, sunshine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, all right. He's gone mad with power.
There is an experiment called MOXIE, which stands for Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, because scientists like long names.
I think they just wanted to fit it into the word MOXIE.
MOXIE, I reckon.
But the acronym doesn't even work.
Close enough.
Where's the X?
Yeah, I don't.
Where's
know.
the X?
I didn't even think about that. It's oxygen.
No, the O in MOXIE is oxygen.
It's OX. They've taken the first two letters.
It should be MOISRUE. So moisture.
No.
It's almost moisture. They should have just called it moisture.
Okay.
They did cheat by taking the O and X out of oxygen. You're right.
Look,
Adam,
all the time they spent developing technology that can create oxygen on an environment where oxygen is not generally created, they should have taken some of that to come up with a better name. That's all I'm saying.
I thought you were going to say to solve climate change here on this Earth rather than terraforming Mars.
I mean, sure, that would also be nice. I don't think that's NASA's job.
I don't know. I feel like NASA's got a
space agency. They do space stuff.
Okay, so what we need to do is leave the shattered Earth, go to Mars, and then once we're on Mars, they'll be like, we should really think about terraforming this Earth place because that is looking like it's in real shambles.
Or just nuke it from orbit. Only way to be sure. Anyway, Adam, furthermore, what of Perseverance?
Well, you spoiled the lead there a bit, Tom, but it is, in fact, an experiment which generates oxygen out of carbon dioxide. So there's a little box sitting on MOXIE, sitting on Perseverance rover that has been for the last little while actually just spitting out oxygen into the Martian atmosphere.
You
Does
know
that
what
process
also
and
turns carbon dioxide into oxygen?
Yeah,
Trees?
Fucking trees, bro.
If you can get a tree to grow on Mars,
I don't
George,
need to grow it on Mars. I need to grow it on this Earth before it descends into a pit of fire.
But it's not about Earth, George. It's about how we sustain potential life on Mars when NASA eventually fixes their big fucking rocket.
It's not about
and
sustaining
gets it.
Earth. It's about generating value for shareholders. That's what we all know is the ultimate meaning to be gained in life, is to generate shareholder returns. And who cares if this broken husk of a planet burns underneath us as we walk it? You know, as long as I got some good dividends for the 2022-2023 financial year, it was all worth it.
Yeah. Well, this particular experiment does create oxygen by splitting carbon dioxide into sort of two, but it also creates carbon monoxide as part of the process. So probably not great to use it.
I hope it goes into separate pipes, you know,
separate
like
bags. The little baggie of carbon monoxide.
Yeah, it's like, it goes into and we release it into the atmosphere out of separate pipes. So it's separate. It's like, no, that's into the one atmosphere, you guys. Oh dear.
I don't know.
Oh no,
carbon
we need to think
monoxide
about
is a greenhouse gas. I'm assuming it is.
I don't know if it's greenhouse gas, but you certainly don't want to be locked into your garage with it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's it's part of car exhaust, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that at least contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, right? So I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
It can produce. This experiment can produce 6 grams of oxygen per hour, which is similar to the rate of a small tree on Earth. So all they need to be able to survive on Mars is like 1,000 of these things.
Or could we use this technology to help us with climate change here?
I don't know if creating more oxygen. Well, I guess it takes carbon dioxide and scrubs
the carbon dioxide like a tree, right?
You would then need to take the carbon monoxide and somehow capture it.
So the carbon capture process creates another greenhouse gas, which is in some ways more dangerous to people on Earth.
Well, it's not so much about capturing carbon. It's just about
we've got a pretty good process.
Oxygen.
Hang on, we've got a pretty good process for this, and it's called trees.
Yes, but trees take how long to grow?
They're a free technology.
Well, the purpose is to take it to Mars so you can.
Well, no, but trees take how long to grow? If we can build a thing that can do what build a thing in a month that it takes several years for a tree to get to the spot point to do. That was my point. If we can work with this technology to come up with it's like we're planting more trees,
but it uses energy.
But exponentially faster.
So why wouldn't we just cut out the middleman and not have fossil fuels, plant trees, and then just use the energy that we're using for this process to split molecules to just have clean energy?
You're missing the point of the experiment.
What is the point?
The point is to help with space exploration.
If Matt Damon can grow some shit potatoes on Mars, then we can plant a tree. I'm sure we can figure it out.
George, I hate to break this to you, but The Martian was not a documentary.
What?
Not a documentary.
Not a doctor. Good. Anyway, so that's happening on Mars right now. And
that's pretty dope.
The rocket that's carrying the capsule, which is meant to take people to Mars, may or may not explode in a couple of days' time. We'll see. So,
look, by the time Earth is completely ruined, we might have a viable option for the billionaires to escape to. So that's good.
Maybe not if you're in Russia, though, George. If you're a billionaire in Russia, you might find yourself falling off out of a hospital window, as was the case of a senior Russian oil executive. Who has died after falling from a window from a Moscow hospital months after his company criticized the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So Ravil Maganov is the chair of the board of directors of Lukoil, which is Russia's largest private oil company, fell from a window at the Central Clinical Hospital. He died from injuries sustained. Now,
what was crazy is that he'd stabbed himself in the back 40 times before he jumped as well. That was nuts.
That's wild. And just crazy. Frankly, an achievement.
Impressive. Right? You got to admire the Russian determination and persistence.
Yeah.
The social media, so Lukoil, the company, had said that Maganov had passed away following a severe illness.
See, that's interesting.
It was severe.
Yeah, passed away following a severe illness, but that's like the whole, died as a result of getting vaccinated. It's like, no, they were vaccinated, then they got hit by the bus. Like, that's not, like, he can have a severe illness, but falling from a window is what killed him,
yeah,
allegedly.
It's probably the fall.
It's probably the fall.
Not the kidney stones.
You could have cancer, but the fall is what killed him. Like,
it's just looking at this guy's like crumpled body on the sidewalk and like, cancer, man. Just another one. Fuck cancer.
Yeah, seeing he's fallen from the building, being like, man, people really got to check their poop.
There was a thing.
You got to see the early signs.
They send you that colonoscopy test where you turn 50. You really got to take it.
Yeah, you really got to take it. Yeah, really got to take it.
Funnily enough, there has been half a dozen business people with ties to the Russian energy industry that have died in apparent suicides or mysterious circumstances since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine.
Can I just say,
an
have been classified as murders.
Russian oil executives, it's a real epidemic. They really are going after the 1%. Can I just say, if I die under mysterious circumstances, it was Vladimir
Putin did it?
Yeah.
It was Vladimir.
Yeah, cool.
I guarantee.
Right,
awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's... Yeah, I feel like there's some stuff going on internally in Russia at the moment. Like there was a lady that was blown up.
Gee, I don't know what's going on internally in Russia.
Why? What do you mean?
I think there's some funny dealings going on next to comically long dinner tables and all these mysterious suicides.
I'm starting to think this Vladimir Putin guy, no good.
Bit sketchy.
Yeah,
I don't think he passes the sniff test.
Does not pass the pub or the sniff test. Bit of a sketchy character.
Nah. Pretty fucked though, in the sense that, like, I mean, Vladimir Putin could just mysteriously kill his way to like
Supreme
any
leader
opposition that's there. Yeah, like it's crazy. Like,
I mean, we know that's the case. Like Sergei Magnitsky, who was the lawyer of
right, George, I won't hold it against you if you haven't immediately remembered like the Russian opposition leader's name.
He was.
I couldn't name them. I'm assuming that's who you were trying to think of.
He was a lawyer, a Ukrainian-born Russian tax advisor responsible for exposing corruption and misconduct by the Russian government. And was completely just murdered in prison because he opposed Putin and uncovered a bunch of his schemes. He was representing an American businessman. I think it was Bill Browder, who was like a big investor in Russia before this whole thing happened. But yeah, I mean, Boris Nemtsov was also assassinated. People believe it the best of Vladimir Putin. Like, journalists, many journalists over the years have gone missing or died under mysterious circumstances. Like Boris Nemtsov was like murdered in front of the Kremlin. A van pulled up, some KGB officers, obscuring the one camera that there was. Van pulls up, blocking it, and they just doop, doop, doop. And then,
So in this article, there was no CCTV available because cameras had been turned off for repairs.
You know how you need to repair all the cameras at once.
Yeah, and I think as I think we and others have mentioned a lot whenever we've talked about these kind of behaviors from Russia is because your first thought is maybe like, oh geez, come on guys, where's the finesse? Surely you're better than that. It's like no, it's the point. Like it's
why not just say we murdered him? Like why not just say it?
They want they want you to know that it was them to be like, we'll get you. It's the intimidation.
Why do they have to be surreptitious about it? Just say we killed him.
Because then I don't know, international courts or whatever can do stuff.
No, they don't give a shit about that. It's about the whole Russian kind of like active measures thing of like, we're gonna do it so it's us, but you can't technically prove it. So like the Salisbury poisonings where they dosed the two. There was a Russian I think it was an ex-spy. I forget his name.
Yeah, in London.
In
England?
Salisbury. In England. Yeah, and he was basically retired, sort of defected from the Soviet Union or from Russia or whatever. He was living in London, and both him and his daughter got poisoned and killed Did they get
No,
killed or did they survive?
I think they survived.
I think they survived. They
There
both
was
got poisoned by Novichok, which is a nerve agent, which like
one of the deadliest nerve agents.
There's
ever.
maybe
Yeah.
a handful of governments that would have access to it, and like the only like plausible course of action is that the Russian government sanctioned their assassination by poisoning with Novichok, and they wanted us to know, because if it was if they just wanted to kill him in secret, they just like abduct him, put him in the back of a van, and like dispose of them quietly. But that's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to like let the people know that if you fuck with Russia, doesn't matter how long it takes, we will find you and we will get you. So it's that sort of plausible deniability, but like still kind of out in the open thing that they do.
Yeah.
Well, fun,
Yes,
even.
it's very spooky.
What was that other guy, former Russian agent who got poisoned with plutonium?
Yeah, there
remember
was
that?
another guy. I think it was the
Oh,
son.
was
I
that
think that was Novichok as well, wasn't it?
Was that something in the
No.
underpants?
No,
there
you're
one that
thinking
was like-
of Alexei Navalny, who they reckon
Yeah.
was poisoned with Novichok either in his
No.
tea or in his underpants. And he
It
was
was a
in
poisoning of Ivan Kivelidi and Tsar Izmailova using 995 to poison the
Yeah.
Russian banker, who died 3 days later in hospital at the age of 46.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Alexander Litvinenko. Yeah, that was the guy.
Uh,
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little terrifying, but also like
is what they
it's
do.
the same thing of like you can say all the things of like, oh, the cameras were closed for repairs, and he died after a long battle with a severe illness, falling out a window.
Yeah, the severe.
None of us are buying it.
Let me know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. The severe illness is pronounced asphalt. No, that's weird. I don't know. Never seen that one before.
Yeah. Early onset falling out a window is very serious, and you need to look out for the signs in you and loved ones.
Yeah.
Namely, if
two guys named
grandpa is
Boris.
particularly airborne, yes, consult your GP.
Yeah, if two guys named Boris turn up to your hospital room, you might have a case of the early onset asphalt.
Yeah.
Hey, Gorbachev died this week.
Yeah, Gorbachev died this week.
I heard.
Yeah, like the age of 91.
Natural cause.
I think Putin had to visit the same hospital the guy jumped out the window, from that. Yeah, Gorbachev was there. I think he was where he was.
Have you seen it's been doing the rounds since Gorbachev died. I didn't put this in the rundown. The Pizza Hut ad that he was in.
Super weird.
It's so strange. Absolutely bananas. But yeah, I'd highly recommend anyone listening, if you haven't seen it, look it up. It's pretty wild. But yeah, like the whole theme of the ad is that Gorbachev has gone to a Pizza Hut and a table of other people are debating whether or not he was a good thing or a bad thing for Russia. And they all sort of agree that given the fact that that his actions allowed for chains like Pizza Hut to even be in Russia, that at least pizza can bring them all together, and they all salute Gorbachev in this restaurant. And then it's like, yeah, Pizza Hut bringing people together. I don't know. Like, it's wild.
Can you imagine what like fucking Russian Pizza Hut would taste like? That just the idea of it makes my skin crawl.
I can't, to be honest.
An Italian
I love Russian food, but I can't imagine what
Italian food that's been Americanized and turned into the cheapest, shittiest version of itself, turned into an American chain and then exported back over to. It's like when you make a photocopy of a photocopy, and it just doesn't quite look right. That's what I imagine Russian Pizza Hut must be like. There's been a bunch of brands that have, like McDonald's and Starbucks
pulled out of Russia
but
since
now they're calling
the
it
Ukraine invasion. Yeah,
but now it's like it's not Starbucks coffee. It's like Star Coffee. They're like, we got rid of the bucks, but we kept the stars. Like, and it's all the branding is exactly the same, except it's like brown instead of green. Like, very bizarre.
I saw someone point out, which I was like, very good call, was they can't believe they called it Star Coffee when Zarbucks was right there.
It's right there.
Like, you could have just,
Have you guys heard about the story at the fall of the Soviet Union where PEPSI took payment in the form of ex-Soviet warships?
I haven't heard the story. Is that the whole story? Because that's a pretty good story.
So 1989, the Soviet
Berlin
Union
Wall
had a lot
falls.
of hard currencies, but they loved Pepsi. So they basically, in exchange for Pepsi being able to, do their thing in Russia, they took 20 ships. It was a Soviet cruiser, a frigate, a destroyer, 17 submarines, and a handful of oil tankers.
Hang on.
Instantly making the drink distributor the owner of the 6th largest navy on the planet.
Yeah, right. So hang on. I was following this right. It was like, wait, Pepsi didn't give the Russian government a navy fleet to keep operating in Russia. The Russian government gave Pepsi a naval fleet.
Yeah. Pepsi had the largest.
I don't know why.
Let them continue business. How this seems really one-sided. You've not only given Pepsi like armaments, but also they can keep businessing. That seems like you're giving them two things.
Well, they just really wanted the Pepsi, Tom. And I think
really wanted Pepsi to still be in the economy. And presumably Pepsi really wants to be there as well so that they can be earning money. But then you've also just handed them, a destroyer and all these other things. Yeah. What did Pepsi do with them?
Well, they were pretty crappy warships, so they all got scrapped.
Okay. I was going to say, does Pepsi initially have a small island nation somewhere that has a naval fleet
Pepsi Nation.
That might rise up and take over?
What they thought they were getting was a bunch of ships that they could then sell or upgrade or do up, and maybe have it as a floating hotel.
Offloaded
something like that.
Yeah, Pepsi selling destroyers on the black market, like they're Lord of War. Just let's military-industrial complex this.
I love the idea.
Surface ships the submarines were basically all pretty much half sunk, and there was rust in a lot of the surface fleet.
I just love there should have been an advertising campaign for the Pepsi destroyer. I would pay money to go on that.
I think the US government stepped in, I think, and said they couldn't do it.
Weird. Why? Can't imagine why.
I think depending on just made
no, Pepsi, you're not allowed to have Russian destroyers. Buy American.
Pepsi CEO Donald Kendall, who had first introduced Khrushchev to the beverage, responded to America's complaints with all the aplomb one might expect from the admiral of Pepsi's navy, reminding the Pentagon that he had just managed to reduce the number of ships at the Soviets' disposal by a considerable number.
That's even worse than the Kendall Jenner advertising campaign that they did. I just want to see an advertising campaign with the CEO of Pepsi introducing Khrushchev to Pepsi. It's just like,
that's great.
I love Mother Russia, but I love this fucking drink.
I also just love that the CEO of Pepsi, or whoever that was, is also doing a give me the fucking Victorian Cross. I single-handedly reduced Russia's navy.
Amazing.
I've put the article in the rundown for you, and we'll put it in the link for the show. But it's one of the craziest things I heard about.
That's fantastic. I love history sometimes. There's just all this banana shit that you don't learn in school.
Yeah, so we learned about the polonium poisoning of Alexander Litvinenko. We heard about Boris Nemtsov. We heard about Sergei Magnitsky. The time that Russia tanked and they traded Pepsi a whole navy. We learnt about the MOXIE tool. We learnt what an Anna Paul is. And we learnt about the stolen federal election. I think that's a successful podcast.
But would you like to hear about
Anna Paul is? I think
the job summit, George?
Well, we learnt that Anna Paul is a person, and we learnt that she's a social media influencer of some renown.
Okay. Fair.
But would you like to hear about the job summit?
Yep. You've saved the tastiest morsel for last, I see.
So good.
I bet you're all glad you stuck around for the headline act.
I don't want to miss the plugs and the section on the job summit.
Yeah, the headliner of the Glastonbury that is this podcast. The job summit.
Okay, here's a summary.
Here we go. The Red Hot Chili Peppers. Woo!
No, the Red Hot Chili Peppers on jobs. There was discussions about jobs and growth. And they decided that jobs and growth is good. And they will try and do jobs and growth harder.
Both jobs and
Excellent.
growth. Growth and jobs. Jobs growth.
Yeah, I feel like the job summit that the Albanese government held was a bit like when, Adam, you won't get this, but when Lenny is put in charge of the nuclear power plant in The Simpsons and he doesn't know what to do with himself and he's just sitting behind the desk and puts on the PA and it says, attention, employees. work harder, bye, and just doesn't know what to do.
That's actually that's a lot of what I'm learning in my MBA management
just do
theory,
more.
So yeah.
Just please do more. Just please do more with the less that you have. Okay, thanks, bye.
You'll be pleased to know that the Albanese government has walked away with 36 priorities and plans of action that they're going to tackle this year. I can't.
And we're going to list them all in detail now. Come on, George.
God damn it.
No.
I can't.
The Labor Party doesn't even know what they are in detail. They've just gone, we're going to do tax better.
Yep.
Hang on. Has Labor now forgotten its 6-point plan?
It's 36-point plan in this case.
36-point plan.
By the way, if it doesn't fit on a bumper sticker, I don't want to fucking hear about it. Okay. Yeah, this is all good. Doing government and like bringing the business community and labor unions together and forging a path forward, yada, yada, yada. But if I don't get, a stop the boats 3-word phrase out of it, it's completely fucking useless as far as I'm concerned.
Ghost the jobs. Wait.
Oh, here's one actually. Yeah, that they're going to
Jobs
increase the permanent migration cap to 195,000 people, up from 170,000.
I think it was a 35,000 places increase.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean,
that's good.
It's it'll probably take the better part of a decade to fully realize this plan over several years to increase these caps and for those people to be integrated into the economy. And that'll definitely really help the extremely short-term labor crisis that we've got on our hands right now, is a plan to address structural changes over the course of 10 years. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, long-term plan.
Woo!
Speaking of our long-term plan, have we and are we always going to be unnatural selection? Is that where we're at?
I want to hear about these 35 other recommendations.
No, we're not talking about the 35 points. We're just going to broadly summarize.
Yeah.
There's something to do with the pension. I don't know.
I mean,
even the Guardian didn't summarize them. They just went, there's about 36 of them. It was a pretty successful summit. The unions didn't kill the executives. Everyone got out alive.
Sally McManus didn't throttle the CEO of Rio Tinto, so that's basically a win as far as we're concerned.
Looks like the 33rd point is that cats get the right to vote. This plan's bananas.
It also says
they're yet to work out the details.
Right, okay. As how they will cast their ballot, cats being notoriously sneaky bastards who maybe don't properly convey their intentions, at least with a sense of honesty.
But it's good. We've got a spirit of cooperation, so that's good.
Yeah. Fair enough.
On that note, we are, and we always will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our Salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Make sure you follow us on all the bullshit social medias that have, do, or ever will exist at Unnatural Show. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and motherfucking TikTok. Instagram. Did I mention Instagram?
Facebook. You did now.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at George Tsipos.
You can follow me on Twitter at Tom D. Heath.
You can follow me on Instagram at AC Doreen.
You can follow us all down to the Job Summit, where we'll be having a whale of a time discussing an additional 35 other action items in detail at length.
Maybe we should buy, hear me out, part of the Russian Navy.
Sounds like we should just really buy Pepsi because they've already got it.
I hear Pepsi's got some ships going, so we could look into that.
They scrapped them all at the pretty short
see,
order.
You know what? Pepsi had their time with the ships, so probably Coke is spurred. And yeah, I reckon if we talk to Coke and be like, look, Pepsi had a navy and you haven't. What are you going to do about that? Just give us a little piece of that action, and we will get you some top tier submarines in 30 years.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Coke will be onto that.
Let me finish it.
100%. No.
Never.
Thanks for listening, guys. I love your faces. We will see you next week.